Rainbow Six North American League DOA. Jacob Jesse here with you at the desk as we get ready for Spacestation Gaming versus Beastcoast. And Spacestation Gaming obviously coming off of that huge win over Dark Zero, our Charlotte Major champions. Very convincing 7-2, I think it was. It was one-sided. So if you're Beastcoast right now, you gotta be shaking in your beastie boots a little bit, I think.
That's one way to put it. Beastcoast on a 4-game losing streak as well. They've yet to find a win this stage and then 2 at the end of last stage, make for 4. It's been a rough one for them. Their attacks have struggled quite a bit so far in this stage, and we haven't really seen them come into full force. A couple of games on Theme Park to start us off in stage 2.
Looking for anything for them to kind of get into where we thought they might be in top 5 contention, because they were
Yeah,
for a little bit of last stage, which made things super interesting. But I'm wondering now if they somehow get into a 3-game skid, if they truly can get up again, because it's a team that has a lot of potential. We keep on mentioning it, but now they've got VODs on them. They don't have the element of surprise, and so far they don't have any wins to show for this stage either.
Potential is like the dirtiest word in sports.
Which is why I don't want to use it.
It means so much, but simultaneously means so little, right?
Right.
It's only the possibility of talent, right? And that's the thing. I feel like we see so many players and teams across not just esports, but any sport, right? And if the potential is there, you know, great, but you can only talk about it for so long. And if Beastcoast has a rough stage 2 after getting so close to the major in stage 1, then I mean, then it goes from potential to like, what do they got to do to get that back again, you know?
I feel like if we're talking about your potential, that's not a good sign, because we would like to be talking about your results, like maybe we have with Space Station.
Yeah, exactly. Space Station Gaming obviously doing quite well their first week, especially with that big win over Dark Zero. Let's talk about them a little bit more. Now, Space Station, another team not unlike Beastcoast, honestly, that was very close to making it to the Charlotte Major. Didn't quite get there, but they're back with a vengeance in stage 2.
Yeah, a couple of games that they would have liked to have back. Very possible that they would have been able to make it there to the major, but they didn't. I think Hot and Cold had a great start so far. SSG have in their stage played one good game, really strong over Dark Zero, and one kind of poor game against Xset. Hot and Cold 24 and 12. He's been a big star for them, but I like their pushes as well on a couple of these creative rounds.
Yeah, they wanted to try a couple things out here. This was the only time that we saw Sens used for any length of time. Watch both players now coming up white stairs. The Sens is right there with he's being played by Fultz. Rampy goes right up and is trying to cover the Sens, and it gets used to block off this approach directly into the site. You keep on watching Fultz. He's back in Kids now, looking for an opportunity to plant at this exact moment. He's got the diversion, but look at all the different players like surrounding him. This is difficult, so you need Hot and Cold to try to hold something here, but watch what happens.
Just not able to get anything in the 2v3. At this point, the Sens has run out. They'd like to be able to plant. Fultz is there. He does have more of those gadgets, but not really in a position to use them. They kind of know where Xset are at, right? They know there's one top white, but here's the big swing that comes through from Spears that takes down Hot and Cold. They end up losing that round. This was the other round that I really liked from SSG. This is a round where they're rocking the Collie, and this is not an operator you see very often, but the Collie's already used her lance to open up this wall. You see Canadian, and then the grenade comes through. The drones were there as well. It was beautifully done. And Collie's so good on this site because there's a couple of different windows. You can play out by the air conditioner, and then you can play that angle that actually opened the wall up. And I think this is a really creative strat from Space Station. No team had really figured this out until this point. So SSG kind of coming up with a cool way to use Collie. That sniper rifle can be difficult at times to find a good area for it, a good circumstance, but SSG found, I think, the perfect moment to rock this operator, and they used it for a beautiful round when Fultz hits a nice shot on a Pamba to start things off. At this point, the pressure still comes through. They just can't win out in the 2v5. So loved that attack from SSG. That was the final round in their second game, and it's those creative ideas that I think have put SSG over the edge in so many of their games in the past.
Here's the thing. Even though they lost to Xset and played at number 1, I went back and I watched that game. There's attacking ingenuity. There's roams that still waste time. It feels like all they have to do is like tighten up maybe some of their defensive vertical play. They have a very deep attacking playbook that was showcased with the Sens play, and they didn't feel like they were ever redoing an attack over and over again. The two that we saw in particular are ones where they'll try an out-of-the-box operator, see if they can't work it into their current system. And in spite of that Xset loss, they still looked relatively good. It's just very minor things with the way Xset play decided to like they couldn't get over that hump. They did it with Dark Zero because it doesn't really seem like DZ has changed up too much from the way that they've played back at the Charlotte Major. So this Space Station team overall still looks relatively good in the grand scheme of the NAL standings.
Yeah, their focus coming into this one was fixing and polishing kind of the mid-round and mid-game results, right? When they've put their game plan out there, you know, it's either working or it's not working, and then making the adaptations to either tweak it a little bit to continue having it go well, or to rework it in the middle of things to kind of like give themselves a shot again. And they do look a little bit better at this, but again, it's only 2 games in, you know, they gotta keep it up.
I think the coaching staff has done a great job with Spacestation, kind of creating these, you know, these strategies, but then also helping the team adapt and work with that. Like and Sov and Luke have done a really good job molding this team. The other thing I think they do really, really well is counter-stratting. They really do read their opponents. I think that was very clear in that Dark Zero game. DZ did a lot of similar things on Border that we saw from them in the major grand finals, and it was clear that SSG was prepared for all of it. Their takes were really strong the couple of times they could in the second half, but even their defenses, they did so well roaming and getting those opening picks, got it in the first 5 rounds in a row. So I thought that was a huge benefit to Spacestation when they were playing against Dark Zero and helped them win that map so dominantly.
And a little bit of a boost. Both of the games that they played last week were played online. Now they're back and they have the LAN factor, and they're the ones that have publicly acknowledged the differences between playing online and offline. So the fact that that's not something that they have to worry about, their shots should be able to land. Sky should be far more comfortable in this environment because he was one of the guys who wasn't able to get his shots to really hit in that game against XSET. Hopefully they'll get a little bit of a buff because now they're back here.
Well, speaking of a team that could also use a buff, could also use a little bit more of their shots hitting, let's talk about Beastcoast here. Now, Beastcoast, again, we mentioned earlier, this was a team that was 1 win away potentially from going to Charlotte in stage number 1. They took that big loss against Mirage that seemed to have kind of broken them for that stage. And now here they come in stage number 2, one of our O2 teams, and things are looking very rough for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a tough schedule as well. Like, I know we can't say a whole lot of great things about Beastcoast because they haven't had good results, but they played Dark Zero, the major champions. That was always going to be a hard match. Yeah. And then Auction, they did push 5 rounds through. I thought they had some really good rounds to start that off. A lot of huge clutch moments. And I don't think it's all bad for Beastcoast. I feel like you look at some of these players and like Anthony, 5-17 overall. That's less than 1 kill every 4 rounds. He's not been finding the frags too often, but I do think he had some great timing in those clutches early against Oxygen that did win this team a couple of rounds. You look at Drip, who in that last game they played went 2-11. Most deaths and least kills overall in that server, but I still feel like he was doing a great job feeding that information to his team, pinging out some players for the squad so they could clutch up, and still was providing to that information game. And then Sweater as well, a player 2-7 on entry, most opening deaths in the league, but when he survives, he gets a ton of kills. So although the players do have a lot of negatives and a lot of things that they need to work through, I think there are positives that shine through.
I'd say the biggest problem to find an area to criticize Beastcoast on is that they've only played 1 map so far. They played Theme Park twice in both the games from yesterday, and if they had lost on 2 separate ones and maybe it was in like a similar way, I'd have a lot more questions. But here, it's a lot more defined. They lost both of those games in similar ways. Like their roam challenges sometimes took a lot to get going. Like sometimes they'd challenge on like 1 spot or 1 doorway, and they wouldn't fall back much after shooting drones. Round 4 in that game, specifically against Dark Zero, is like the only time where it went well, where it felt like they were backtracking into each individual different room. They're doing a really good job of reading the entry because Sweater is still in these entry engagements over and over again, so they understand where attackers are entering a building from, but when it comes to actually responding to it and making something worthwhile...
are those cat ears? All right.
He's not Kitten.
There was a famous League
He
Legends
successfully
team.
made me lose my entire train of thought.
There was a famous League team called the Rocks Tigers who were known for wearing like cat ears and rabbit ears in their matches for a while until OGN made them stop, and it worked well for them. They did very well in the booth. So, you know, the thing is, maybe that's the key here too.
Beastcoast have famously a player who calls himself Kitten on the team.
You didn't have to say it.
It's not that one, but I guess they're spreading the Kitten power around.
Sure. I mean, it's the beast part, right? This is where the beast and Beastcoast comes in.
Sure. Yeah. I'm down.
Trying to unleash the beast fully. But let's find out what map it is going to be potentially unleashed on. It's time to see the picks and bans.
I mean, obviously Theme Park, the one that we saw a lot from Beastcoast so far. We start with Skyscraper and Border. Border being banned against SSG. Of course, that's the map that we saw them decimate Dark Zero on 7-2. So Beastcoast saw that game last week and they said, no, we don't want to play Border ever again. Skyscraper, a permaban for SSG. Bank and Clubhouse going to be the next maps taken out. The Bank ban coming through from SSG. It's one that they lost to Beastcoast last stage, 7-5. So clearly they don't want to repeat that result. They want to take it out of the pool. A very respectful ban against Beastcoast. They don't want to try it again. And then Oregon Theme Park coming through. There's the Theme Park ban from Beastcoast. I'm happy we're seeing this because, again, with a 3-game losing streak, 2 last week and then 1 from stage 1, it has not been a successful map for them.
So these last couple here are maps that We've not seen either team play in a considerable amount of time, which should make this one interesting. It's just a matter of which one we end up hitting for. It's Cafe, Villa, and Chalet as our last couple. Space Station in particular have not played Villa over the past 3 months. Exact same thing with Beastcoast on Cafe. So we're back on Chalet, which is a map that back when Beastcoast were still trying to figure things out last year, they would try over and over again. As far as Space Station is concerned, they've tried it once in the past 3 months, have yet to get anything substantial on it. So this is like a really, really old proving ground for both teams that you're also seeing here. Space Station will get attacking half on, so we'll see if they swing an advantage here early.
Space Station Gaming, a 3-map losing streak on Chalet, losing to MIBR and Na'Vi back at the 6th Invitational before coming home and dropping it to the Sonics on Playday 8.
All right, well, there you go. We're going to Chalet. And so the question is now, what will the predictions be? I feel like this one's going to be a little bit easy to predict, but you never know. I mean, there is upset potential, of course. So Beastcoast can be explosive. The question is, will they explode the other team or themselves? That seems to be kind of the point of contention this stage. But let's find out what our casters think first. Blue and Stokes are sitting by, not standing by. They get to sit at their desk, which is kind of nice. You comfortable over there?
Very.
All right, that's good. You comfortable with your picks as well?
I'm going to come yoink that chair so I have a bar stool back here.
Yeah, I mean, this one's unfortunately pretty straightforward at the end of the day, just looking at the results from both teams recently. SSG, yeah, they had that poor start to things in their game one, but they pretty much immediately rebound on the next game, so I'm not too worried about them. Beastcoast, really haven't seen anything super convincing from them so far this stage, still struggling with a lot of the same things we were seeing in stage one, so I gotta swing my vote this time over towards Space Station.
All right, Stokes, what do you think?
I got to throw my dart towards Space Station as well. I think they're looking too solid after that border game, and really, I don't think Beast Coast is going to be able to take anything away from them inside of this matchup, so fairly straightforward affair.
Yep, I think short and sweet, which is kind of what we expected. 2 votes for Space Station. We'll send it back to the casters in just a moment, but now it's time to find out what our analysts think. Space Station?
I mean, I have a new pick philosophy, whereas I just copy Stokes. So I will go Space Station Gaming as well.
Keep digging yourself a hole, man. Do what you gotta do.
Are you gonna pick Beast Coast though?
I just love the fact that he's intentionally like linking all of his predictions to what Stokes says now, so that if one of them dies, the other one dies with them. That's just.
It's not. You're not gonna ever be able to get ahead of Stokes' predictions by doing that.
Okay, well, Stokes isn't on. It doesn't cast every game, so the games that he doesn't cast, I can leap
We're
ahead.
here every game.
He still predicts though.
Yeah, but I can't copy him because I don't get to hear what he says.
That's true. That's true.
Right, so that's where I'll make my big brain leap.
Space Station! Stop talking.
Right.
Space
It's
Station.
Space
Yes,
Station.
I'm taking them, yes.
Let's see what the coin says. It's gonna be heads, Space Station, tails, Beast Coast here on our sub coin, but you know, it works, so.
It's not the real coin.
Oh.
Got the first one, right?
It did, yeah, it did pick Parabellum. This time it picks, heads, pick Space Station. There you go.
What are the odds the
John
sub
Kennedy's
coin
head
is better
says
than the actual
Space Station
coin?
Gaming. There you go. Well, now let's find out what you, the viewers at home, think. What did the community poll say? Space Station Gaming.
We've had a couple. One of these days, all 5 of the main predictors are going to pick one team, and then the fan vote will be the inverse. For some reason, we don't understand.
It'll probably be a TSM matchup.
Yes.
You might be right.
It'll probably be that, yeah. Well, there you go. That is our predictions. Everybody going with Space Station. Now let's find out what the community poll is before this round. The question you will have to mull over is, who the harder hitting trash talker? Rampy or Drip?
Who the
harder hitting trash? Well, we'll work on our grammar.
It's a good one, though.
Don't worry about it. I wrote that one. That's why. No, I actually didn't. But I'll take credit. I'll take the fall for it. That's what the host has to do sometimes. It's all resting on my shoulders. That's right. Well,
Good guy, Dylan.
there you go. Something to think about as we get into this next map, Space Station versus Beast Coast. Can Beast Coast rise up and finally get a win here in stage 1, or is Space Station Gaming going to keep their momentum going? Find out when NAL returns in just a few.
Like glue, the leather stuck on me. Skies, and this is the NAL.
Can't stop, I can't be stopped now. Can't stop, I can't be stopped now. Can't stop. You can try, but I won't stop, won't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. You can try, but I won't stop, won't stop.
Of the day here is we're going to be having Space Station Gaming going up against their opponents here in this matchup in Beastcoast. Bound to be a good game. Beastcoast has some work to do. They're looking to set a new record here today in this matchup.
What kind of record?
First player to win with cat ears on. I have to see how it goes for Sweater and the rest of Beastcoast. As definitely an interesting outfit for Sweater here today. And we'll have to see if it boosts the team's morale as well as bring some good times for the squad as they get themselves into it. Space Station, though, are on a bit of a heater at the moment. Didn't start that way, though, as we mentioned on our previous segment. The first game they played this stage was a little bit discouraging, at least for me looking at them. However, on day 2, literally 24 hours later, they bounced back with a vengeance and shut down Dark Zero, most recent major champions, of course, for those who are unaware, 7-2.
Yeah, on Border, which is exactly why we're going to see it immediately banned inside of the ban phase here for the map pick. And we're actually going to end up resting on Chalet, which could be quite the interesting affair in between these two. I'll be honest with you, it was kind of up in the air in my mind as to what happened here on Chalet, mostly because Beastcoast is so hit or miss. Sometimes they are hot to trot, and when they are hot to trot, they are a force to be reckoned with, especially on a map like Chalet where they can play so loosey-goosey. We'll have to see what Space Station can potentially do. Extremely dominant last week when it came to some of the close quarters fights, as well as the overall strategy that they had on the defensive end and what was in store for Dark Zero. Could have more of that in the tank here for Beastcoast today, but also could be trying some things up against one of the weaker opponents here inside of the NAL.
Now, we've been talking a lot of negatives about the Beastcoast roster, and there's still some positives that have come out of the first 2 games of the stage for them, mainly in the form of Surf, who's been by far the most consistent member of this roster and has continued to become that player throughout the 2 games they have played out. The big issue, though, is that the entry game is really hit or miss right now for their attacking side, so considering that, the problem is since Surf is not usually contributing to that entry game, oftentimes Beastcoast is left in a position where they kind of need Surf to pull out some crazy play, something like that, but he's just not really prepped to properly do so because the entry game has failed to make their impact known. So we'll see if there's going to be an improvement on that in the matchup today. Looked good in game 1. The more recent game, though, it was shut down a bit more proficiently, so going to be looking to unleash that yet again, and there may be a very good chance for them to do so on Chalet for the reasons that Sam was mentioning. This is a bit more of a free-flowing map, a lot more room for roamers to negotiate, for attackers to find those interesting insertion points where they can find a cutoff or something like that. Lots of opportunities for Beastcoast to go crazy here today. So we're going to see if they'll be allowed to go crazy enough to best Space Station here, like I said before, are looking very strong right now, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anything, the matchup that we have on our hands as of right now is more what can Beastcoast do against SSG and not how is SSG going to go about winning this game. You know, I really think that Beastcoast has an opportunity to, I mean, at a minimum, push us to overtime here. It's really just what version of Beastcoast are we going to get. Luckily enough, we're not too far off from getting into the map here, folks, as Chalet boots up right now. Beastcoast versus Space Station Gaming in a beautiful wintry snowland here inside of the mountains. It's bound to be a pretty strong affair for both of these squads. Hopefully, we get the greatest form of Beastcoast that we've seen so far here inside of the NAL for Stage 2. If not, SSG more than likely taking this, but it all starts inside of the ban phase. What is Beastcoast looking to get rid of? It's going to be the Nook. We've seen just how influential she can be on maps like Chalet, so no wonder she will be removed.
Yep, so she's going to be knocked out initially. Second ban coming up pretty much right away, and that's a fun one from SSG. They're going to knock out Twitch. We have been seeing a lot of Twitch picks to kind of bolster the entry game to an extent. They're on that F2. And let's be honest, the drone's been getting quite a bit of useful play here, being able to knock out a few pieces of utility, so we are going to see that knocked out. Not for the drone, but definitely for the kind of comfortability factor that a lot of players will have on it. Valkyrie will be kind of similar, but her utility is actually way more universally useful, even with the nerfs that were thrown onto her a few months ago, so she's going to be removed. And Azami, obviously the newest operator on the block, still way too powerful to be managed in a lot of situations, especially here because of how it can bolster that library extension we see defenders often go towards, so she's going to be yeeted out as well.
Yeah, when Newers was talking about her inside of week 1, and he said it inside of his interview that she's probably going to be the most banned defender now, he was not lying.
Oh, yeah.
That was not a joke. That was not a, oh, haha, the new
basically-
operator is kind of crazy.
It was basically like she either becomes smoke, where teams are like always picking her in most situations, or she becomes like Mira, which is banned out 90% of the time, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going to present a pretty interesting wrinkle for the defensive side meta overall for a lot of these maps. Because if you end up banning Azami, it leaves open something that everyone has been banning for, I'm not even joking, probably 5 years. The entire time that the ban phase has been out, Mira has been the most banned defender every single year. Every year, there has not been a single time where Mira was not the most banned defender. So now we're at this weird moment where we could see Mira starting to work her way back into these plays a lot more on the defensive end, which could open up a lot of different ways to play these maps. Chalet, obviously one where we see Mira quite often when it comes to her play whenever she's open. Not going to be around the very first defensive setup, but definitely something to notate while you're watching Siege throughout the next couple of months and so on. So now for Space Station, they will be out and about. Most of the team starting off on the east side, just trying to take Ego Balcony and start setting up for this top floor execute.
The rest of SSG forming up for that now, but still very slowly built up here. The first 30 seconds used almost entirely just to position the players and set up drone utility. Looks like it might be a quick swing afterwards, though, as Houghton is actually going to be throwing a few of the Candelas onto the inside of their first entry point. They'll use this to swing forward quite aggressively. It'll work out to a good extent here. Bosco will take a little bit of damage, but nothing to worry about in the long run of things. As they do have the Finka, so they can pretty quickly bolster his HP back up to nearly full or at full itself. Surf is going to try to line up a flank for himself. You can notice from the silhouettes, there's going to be a member of Beastcoast potentially trying to get into the way of that. So Surf will not have an easy time progressing towards that, just like how SSG is going to have a much more difficult time moving their attack further beyond past the point it's at right now. They've taken the top-down control, but they now need to make that transition onto the first floor.
Big issue now, Beastcoast has no way to fend off any of this top take. Both nitro cells are out. Only way they can potentially do this is hitting some nice shots, and Sweater will lead us off. So he'll take down Skies. That's going to be the sledge gun, and also the drone starting to get eaten up by Beastcoast as well. But luckily enough for SSG, they already have a very, very big part of this puzzle. Bosco will take down Slash as well, so at least get the equalizer to continue to try and hold this flank and work their verticality. Still plenty of time left in this round for both of these squads. Beastcoast only starting to shoot back though, as they'll claim yet another life, but it's been the equalizer yet again for Space Station as they continually find these bodies. It's getting whipped back and forth across this map. Space Station trying to find a different entry point. It looks like they want to try and adjust down to Big Garage and try and work their way up West Main. Rampy's going to hit a big nade though. He's going to take down Drip, and that's going to leave Surf and Sweater, who should be dead at a moment's notice, last alive here inside of this situation. That's going to be a free Sweater. It's going to be down to Surf inside of a 3 versus 1, which SSG will handle quite quickly. It's going to be a Space Station round here on Chalet.
So Space Station able to negotiate the initial control needed here to get themselves onto the board off of the rip. They'll take control of the 1-0 advantage for themselves. Where will Beastcoast try to take it, though? Do they stay in the same neighborhood? Do they attempt to try and go for the same site play back down on the first floor, or are they going to shift it? Looks like it'll be the latter of those two, as we do have a basement pick being flirted with at the moment while we get through the pick phase.
Yes, indeed. Not too much of a change up here from Space Station, and why would you? You basically have the entire toolkit along for the ride in every capacity to try and get your way into sight. The big thing about Space Station's setup here is Habana. You might want to end up changing out that hard breach. We might see that come through as Skies is going to bring the buck. Bit of a secondary hard breach here as well, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that thermite coming in. We're not dealing with hatches here, folks. We're dealing with walls, and that's way, way more of a job for thermite than it is for Habana, our hatch queen. As well, it's for a bunch of different reasons. Obviously, the hole that Habana makes isn't very large, and secondly, she's got the longest fuse time out of all of the hard breachers, Thermite having the shortest one and also making the largest hole, so definitely want to try and go with him so they can get some more presence on site and don't have to deal with those tiny little X-Kairos. Just bringing some more things along for the ride in order to assist. Instead of bringing the secondary hard breach for Skies, they brought additional burn for him, and they brought in Hot and Cold on the Maverick just to make sure that no matter what happens, they at least least have some form of an angle into the actual site through these reinforcements.
SSG still keeping their reputation alive of being the team that probably still making the most active use out of the repick there, especially with that most recent play. We saw to repick all 4 out of 5 operators, everybody except Rampy because he's on Finka, and that kind of goes without saying why you want to leave a Finka in your roster at this point. Rampy, though, still going to be slow to clear things out on the inside of the car garage, just watching out to make sure there's not going to be any top-downs thrown out against him. Anthony as well will still be venturing around the map at this point, too, to try and see if he can catch some early hop-ins through Solarium or another part of this map, but not to be found. And he'll eventually fall back through the hatch and take up basement positioning also.
It's going to be practically the first minute off the board. We're still going to have Sweater on an extended hold upstairs inside of Master. Don't know if he has any impacts on hand at the current moment. No, he's got Bulletproof instead, so he won't be able to utilize the Master hatch to get down towards Kitchen and try and drop off that way. I'll have to try and take more of a straightforward avenue. Frag grenades out, Exothermic down, and a big hole coming right up here for the Thermite. As Fultz is already set up with the Osa, but unfortunately enough, Drips on top of it. He'll be able to get rid of the initial exothermic charge, making things a little bit more complex here for SSG. Sir, potentially looking for the swing here. That's that M590 out, getting dangerously close to this door at the current moment. You can see how SSG is trying to rest on their morals at the current moment. Be a stun in, exothermic out yet again, but the Electro Claw, nobody watching to make sure that this won't happen yet again. And Drip, with the exact same Electro Claw as previously, eats up that second charge, and now SSG are dead in the water.
They do have the Maverick, but there's absolutely zero time to properly Maverick out that wall and open up the angle they would have needed. So they're going to have to try and brute force it. Sweater ready for the challenge, though, as he's able to pick up his second kill on the game so far, knocking out another member of this attacking roster, bringing them down to only 4 here. You can see more and more members of this team starting to get more and more adventurous, too, because they know that wall has been denied, and SSG are going to be struggling to try and find a way to get into the site. So that means these defenders can activate a little bit, get themselves a bit more aggressive, and get ready to immediately shut down the swing whenever it eventually comes to bear. Houghton, though, is still allowed to swing freely through over towards main stairs here and work his way down into the snowmobile garage. He's going to be the only one to do so, however, as Rust of the Pressure going to be trying to funnel in through the wine door. It just gets absolutely shut down. Beastcoast with 3 kills in under a second, and the 4th player that you saw roaming over towards main stairs being dealt with fairly quickly also.
Super harsh utility around there for SSG. Big thing there being they only have 2 frag grenades when it comes to that side of the map. They had the option to try and bring more on the Maverick, but that wasn't Houghton's job. Houghton's job was to torch up the snowmobile garage and try and hold angle so that they can't rotate out of wine stock or connector, or even try and come down blue depending on which angle he's holding at the current moment. But he brought claymores that round to make sure that nobody could jump out on any of the windows upstairs. You know, think things like library balcony or the balcony directly above the garage. All that's very dangerous for somebody playing by themselves over there. So you really can't get on Houghton for playing out his situation over there properly. It was just down to Spacestation not bringing enough utility and just not utilizing things in quick enough succession to actually get past that Electro Claw. It was very well utilized by Drip, I do believe I'm remembering correctly, to actually end up locking up that wall twice in a row, because Spacestation just didn't have the utility to try and fend that off. It was very unfortunate, but I mean, sometimes it just comes down to simply a utility play that can work out for you for the rest of the round, and that's what happens to Beastcoast there as they pick up their first.
Attackers are moving.
So Beastcoast looking to try and push their advantage one step further. We'll go back to that very same site they played into back in round number 1. It is going to be the kitchen hold for them on this 3rd round for SSG. They're not going to bring anything too crazy to change things up, although there are some slight adjustments. Fultz, for instance, bringing the Flores drone in to possibly deal with some of that deeper bake utility a bit more quickly. And aside from that, we've also got the Nomad, which I think is making a new appearance here for the first time on SSG's roster. Houghton will bring that into the fold, and we'll see how that mitigation will potentially help SSG as they try to clear their way down onto the 1st floor. Won't help them in the entry game, though, and won't actually help them throughout the rest of this round. The Nomad will be lost right off the bat. Hot and Cold goes down to a member of Beastcoast.
Sweater keeps fragging like this. I might have to get some cat ears of my
own.
own.
And he gets the double.
Oh my! It's got to be the collar or something. It's like +5 to luck, I'm sure. Truly incredible stuff that we're witnessing at the current moment as Kitten, aka Sweater, is dismantling Space Station Gaming single-handedly. 5-1. Skies will take down Slash. Still a 2 versus 4 at the end of the day.
Well, this is going to be a hard storyline to describe if we end up with Sweater continuing to dominate throughout this game, but we'll follow it regardless. The Kitteneers seem to have powers. We just have to see how far they will take the members of Beastcoast inside of this game. Skies now looking to try and catch a few rotations on the back end closer towards Bathroom and Solarium, but won't be able to find it. Looks like Beastcoast have given up positioning in that department if they're going to continue to fall back that way. So Skies will be free to put himself directly against this window now. More than likely hop in a moment, but what exactly will him and Bosco even be able to do, as they each need to pick up at least 2 kills here to make this round palatable for themselves. Skies will go for a bit of a Hail Mary nade, will be off the mark, attempts to quickly negotiate himself new positioning over by the old front door. But as you can see, a lot of tracers coming the other way, so it's too much of a risk. He will not go for it and instead reascend back up to the roof.
This is always something I've really appreciated about Sky's play style, his willingness to adapt inside of the moment and make the quick plays. He knows he's not going to get anything around West Main. Bosco's still got to come downstairs and try and contest all of this, so he's quickly going to try and reinsert somewhere else and get some more pressure. Works out beautifully for them as the sledge goes down. Bosco's able to assist, and they'll be able to get themselves a kill. On to Surf. It's down to Drip, Sweater, and Anthony, but the time is in their favor. SSG has to do so much here, and not only that, but they only have stuns from Bosco. He's going to have to try and hit his mark with those. Fortunately enough, it's going to be quite easy in that regard. No ADSs, no Wamai discs to try and eat anything up, but Sweater, he's trying to go for the play up blue stairs right now. This may be ill-advised, as it'll give each one of these players an opportunity on site to actually take control. We do have one player of Beastcoast actually downstairs at the current moment as well, so a potential for possibly a Nitro Cell, but no, Nitro Cell down. There's going to be a quad for Sweater at the current moment. He'll get taken down by Skies.
Thank goodness.
Skies more than likely dead, but either way, it's going to be a quad kill and the lead for Beastcoast and Sweater.
Beastcoast, nicely done there. Sweater goes huge, is able to shut down pretty much the entirety of the roster. A quad kill falling behind that is denied in his attempt to pick up the ace as Sky shuts him down, but still nearly gets the job done all on his lonesome. Beastcoast will have to respect his positioning throughout the rest of this half, and they'll look to try and make up for things now, with Beastcoast moving onwards to the upstairs hold next.
Speaking of respecting things, I think SSG needs to respect Sweater at the current moment. He's playing like the newest member of the Thundercats. This is just incredible what he's been able to produce, especially in that last round. Huge Nitro Cell there. That was the highlight of that one. I mean, if SSG is able to pull a rabbit out of a hat, then maybe they get the round, but even then, you're asking for so much in a situation like that. For Beastcoast at the current moment, able to get quite a few rounds over on Spacestation Gaming, and this is what we've seen from Spacestation. They're very, very good at playing like the most forward version of Rainbow Six Siege. Like the most, you know, this is the line, this is how you're going to play this kind of situation. When things start to get out in kind of theory land, that's where SSG kind of starts losing a grip as to what's happening inside of these rounds, and some teams can surprise them. It's definitely not something that is detrimental to SSG. They can definitely deal with it, but anytime that we see them in a game like this, it's always very hard fought.
Castle Barricade going to be pre-hit there a little bit just to allow for the defenders to more aggressively swing out from it should they need to. So that'll be played, I think, inside of that connecting room. Downstairs next to the bar site. So a lot of play potential showing up there for the Beastcoast player that'll sit behind it. That'll be Sweater more than likely, trying to play from that position. He'll actually move away from it though, so he'll be taking up a different partition of the map. And in the meanwhile, we will continue to see the members of SSG also start to try and bout for their initial bit of library control here that Surf will attempt to get in the way. I'm not going to be alone either. I do believe he's got the one additional player supporting him from Connector, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as he tries to see if there's anything on repels or just in the corner of these windows to shoot at, but won't be finding it necessarily on in the round, unfortunately.
SSG's made a couple of adjustments inside of their lineup as well. They're going to be bringing Zero now, just so they have some extra info on the flank. Also, a very unfortunate moment here for Surf. He'll actually end up getting taken down by the piano window as he's all the way up inside of the double of that area and just gets shot through the soft paneling. Fortunate enough for him, but SSG have gotten their first pick. They just need to work this out at the current moment. Make sure to get these drones down on this mid-floor. Potentially watch out for Beastcoast flanks coming through as they try and reconcile with this situation. There it is.
Gonna be able to strike true yet again on the offset of things for Beastcoast. Not the first kill overall, of course. Surf was also lost earlier, but still trades it back out and equalizes things. Drip gonna look to continue to fend things off along with Sweater from these upstairs positions.
Della's in. Big moves now for Spacestation, seemingly aware of these Beastcoast members and where they lie. Skies could be in some trouble. He's just going to throw a nade in. He's going to try and back up a Bosco. Actually going to take the kill down instead. Drip backs up inside of the room, but he's going to get caught off guard by Skies anyway. It's down to Slash and Anthony to try and get something done with this situation. Another frag grenade out, but it's just uncooked. They're trying to hold down these angles so they can set up for the plant. It's working out handedly. Anthony take down Fultz. It's going to be a 2 versus 3 going into the post play.
Palatable now because of that kill from Anthony. All up to how he continues to move from here, though. Needs to get this piano player, and he will. Knocks him down, racks him up, and takes out Rampy to equalize things into a 2 versus 2. Anthony now looking for a path forward, and he's going to get it because this is the pre-whacked castle barricade that we were talking about at the beginning of the round. Only one shot will knock it out. Skies, however, will cut off the rotate from Anthony as he tries to commit to the inside. Slash also going to be read into here. They see his play coming from a mile away. And he's only got about 8 seconds to get himself onto the case. This is looking bleak for Beastcoast. Retaken more than likely. SSG going to close it down and tie us up at 2-2.
Very well done from Skies. This will lock it down and be practically the entry for Spacestation into the site. Picking up some big kills on these Beast Coast members, giving them plenty of room around Office to get that plant down. Uncooked frag grenade to try and get Drip to step out was kind of an awkward situation there for just a moment as Drip just pushes himself deeper into the Office and almost ends up picking himself up a Space Station member, but it's not actually come to fruition at the end of the day. Things tied up now. 2-2 here is Space Station able to work that initial pick and work it out towards the end, taking down Beast Coast defensive setup, especially towards that Office side, locking things down, more towards the halfway point of that actual site. Now Beast Coast forced downstairs here as they'll end up opening up quite a few different panels. This is something that we see happen pretty commonly now downstairs, especially when there is a deployable shield, but as you can see, Beast Coast don't have that. They're still not going to reinforce this though. They'll just be aware that that angle is open, so if they go for the rotation, we'll have to try and challenge that, but that helps them just with some more prevention when it comes to the take on Snowmobile Garage. If somebody tries to plant or somebody just tries to push in from that area, any of the white players can try and help anyone playing inside of blue or potentially connector.
So evened out right now, both teams looking to try and take the advantage away from each other, but East Coast here now going to have to potentially look for a new way to get themselves footed in this position as they'll be returning to the basement hold next. Time to see if SSG will be up for the challenge on it. So we're going to see them proceed slowly just to kind of set up their opening bit of utility here. Things like Claymore's one on the outside as well as take that first bit of control. We're also going to see them try to quickly open things up here on the Snowmobile Garage, and they will succeed in doing so even with Drip throwing out his electric claws. He cannot stop the initial holds from being made. I don't even think we saw him throw a follow-up one. That means the entire opening's going to go through.
It's pointless when it's ace. It's like, all right, well, don't really know what these electro claws are going to do to these Selmas, but you know, maybe a chance, maybe some potential in certain instances, but it's more or less going to be used for those exothermics. But this has been a great audible here by Space Station. Instead of bringing the Maverick, bringing the Ace, they have the Claymore still, and they also have the ability to get something else open with that extra Selma charge. So Fultz be working his way up into West Main. Found himself a player inside of the kitchen. I believe he did not see Anthony, so more than likely shouldn't have the trophy player hopping in anytime soon. We'll probably just play around the area, maybe adjust down later on. They're going to back up now, though, at least for SSG's sake, in towards Big Garage after they get the initial angle opened up. It's going to force Drip to choose a side when it comes to where he wants to play, and it should be, well, exactly where he's sitting right now, towards the back end of the wine stock.
Bosco swinging himself forward with this drone here just to try and figure out where they need to focus up the utility at. He'll be ready to utilize it as soon as the moment arrives, but at the same time, they do need to try and get a nade in a proper position to knock at that mute jammer, otherwise the wall is not going to be open. Drip trying to fend off some of the counteraction coming in from that car garage too, because the wall has been breached, and he'll nearly get it. Rampy brought down to about half of his HP, but Drip's not able to control the spray well enough to fully kill, and even worse, over peaks on the re-peak, ends up going down to the player further down the hallway leading to car garage. Fultz will finish him off with a nade. Here comes the play from Anthony as he's got the cutoff, however. He'll stop the play from Bosco. Slash will also grab Rampy, and Sweater hops in for one more also, deleting out Fultz, leaving it all on Hot and Skies, and Hot may not be in this fight for much longer either. He's been brought down super low. So really just Skies when it comes to aggressive plays. Need to make this happen now for SSG. And he's get himself off to a good start by eliminating Anthony.
Oh, well, Hot and Cold has a bead on at least one player. Skies is inside of sight, and he could potentially work this out. Houghton just has to be the supporting unit here and try and apply pressure when he can on such a low amount of HP. It's got to be Skies to try and pick this up. Slash will be able to trade things out. Oh no! The panic knife and a kill for Beastcoast comes through as they'll claim the lead yet again here.
Not much, unfortunately, they were going to be able to do as they were off on the island in the middle of the site regardless. So ends up just kind of knifing out of frustration more than anything to an extent. Beastcoast will take the lead as a result of that. But can they keep it? That's been the question now, as SSG and Beastcoast have been teeter-tottering back and forth for a few rounds here. So onward onto the kitchen and dining room next for Beastcoast as they try to control yet another round that would lock in the advantage for them at halftime, which is coming up, of course, right after this round. SSG want to stop that and try to get the even 3-3. So let's take a peek and find out who will come out on top.
Super unfortunate situation there for Space Station. I really feel as though Skies did not get enough done on that verticality. It seemed like there was only one potential kill that came from Skies, and I don't even think that that did come through the verticality at all. I think that came when he actually entered onto site. So it just begs the question as to what the buck is being utilized for here, because obviously it is being used on that mid floor, but Beastcoast either playing around it extremely well, or Skies not able to find any value in that positioning. And really, either way you look at it, it's very unfortunate for Space Station because Beastcoast were able to handle the one front assault extremely well. Hot and Cold really wasn't that active when it came to the garage play, mostly because there really wasn't that many Beastcoast members around there, and when he did end up taking that first fight, he's immediately down to 1 HP. So past that moment, it's like, really, what else can you do? I mean, he does get that kill, but still you have Skies inside of that clutch situation after Beastcoast already got so much done working that back end and taking care of the take from Space Station through the big garage.
SSG looking for a quick hop in here towards Library. It's undefended this time by Beastcoast, so it'll be an easy task to get themselves inside. Oh yeah, it did actually for the first time. I like kind of just discount glass picks whenever I tend to see them now because they almost always get repicked, but Sky's gonna surprise us and actually bring one to bear here to get those more aggressive crosses going, at least on the upstairs clear. Defend off some of that pressure from Beastcoast. We'll have to see if they respect that or potentially try to challenge it directly. So we've already got Han with a nice angle lined up there into the site connector versus Slash. Is nearly able to take him down, but he notices it just in time. Is able to back away to save about half of his HP. Surf can't say the same for him as he also gets encroached upon, but is not going to be able to make himself get out of there with anywhere near the amount of HP that Slash did. He'll just have about 10 to 15 to play with for the rest of this round. You can see Slash trying to get back some of this damage that he lost here, trying to throw out some bullets here or there, but just nothing being gifted to him at this point by the SSG camp.
Taking their sweet, sweet time. Lots of damage off onto the Beastcoast members, but at least half the round now starting to dwindle away. That won't be a shot from Skies. No, that's going to be the LMG. Well, actually, no, I take it back. It is a shot from Skies, but I believe that was with the bearing there through the smoke instead. Pretty incredulous if you ask me. You have a gun that looks through that. You didn't have to do him like that there, Skies, but he's still going to be able to pick up Slash. Obviously, Surf still down on very low HP, and SSG trying to mitigate the damage dealt to themselves as Beastcoast is still trying to work their way back into this round. Still have a very solid site setup that SSG hasn't begun dealing with just yet. Bosco almost making a pretty big mistake there. Could have wasted some time dropping down that hatch, but fortunately enough, he will end up moving to the side. That's something that could come back to bite them later on if that did end up happening, but fortunately enough, not the case. So Rampy's going to nade over, make sure this wall's clear. Bosco will get this open, and now we're going to start looking for a plant inside of dining. But what can Beastcoast do about this? They still have a nitro cell here, all of Anthony's smokes, and the big player, Drip, with the yokai drones that Foltz will be tasked with trying to find.
Skies with the support here. Needs to keep himself mobile, of course, to be able to keep the properties of this scope alive that allow him to see through the smoke. And you can see him as he steps away. He loses that fairly quickly. Bosco still waiting for an appropriate opportunity to get himself forward. There's the first target for Skies. He's going to strike true upon it. Rampy able to steal a second kill away from this roster. Also, the Nitro's out, and it's going to sing, however, too late, as the plant has already gone down onto the ground. And Surf and Anthony already damaged from this rifle being played at the moment by Skies. They're going to try and find some way to push forward and retake this site, but it's just so tough to do so with that sniper staring down nearly every single angle. Surf realizes where it is, realizes he's got a player close to him, but the shotgun just not working out. Similarly to the SMG-11 here, can't make anything happen, and Hot and Cold will get the final bullet in to lock in that third round for their squad.
It's a Space Station firing squad there at the very end of the round to take them down and tie things up 3-3. Pretty bombastic side there for Sweater, but still end up on equal sides here. 3-3. And Beastcoast entering the offense, this is where things are going to switch up quite a bit. Chalet has tended to be kind of a teeter-totter for teams, where it's really just dependent as to who's playing against each other and kind of the flavor of the day, right? Sometimes it's defender-sided, sometimes it's offender-sided. I think that this is really going to give us more of a look into that when it comes to this second half here. Can SSG be dominant when it comes to this defensive setup? They're going to be starting things off in bar gaming and opening up quite a few different avenues for them to try and enact themselves upon Beastcoast later on in the round.
So for Beastcoast, losing control over the lead, certainly something to be a little bit worried about, but they're going to be focused up, of course. Now armed with a new side, they'll try and see if they can potentially utilize this to suss out some of the SSG positions and get themselves into control of the lead once again, so they can try to close out this game. As far as SSG's lineup is concerned, there's not really going to be any huge surprises here, and the same thing can very much be said for Beastcoast as they bring the expected attacker lineup to be able to get access to the bar floor. Something that we actually didn't see Beastcoast play into at all on their half, despite this kind of being the go-to site for a lot of teams, at least in terms of a solid defensive lineup here. So SSG will put all the emphasis onto the library hold as usual, and then have fallbacks set up for their other players to circle back into the site should things go awry in the opening 2 minutes of play.
We can see SSG really wants to get into it quite early here. They're pushing themselves towards the northern side, at least for Rampy's sake, with Skies trying to hold back and make sure that if they do have to fall back, there's nothing that's going to happen to them. Instead, Rampy's going to use that mid-floor, and Skies, he's going to end up popping himself a nice hole here, but oh, unfortunate on the panel that ended up breaking. Won't be able to get the angle that he wanted on that windowsill, so he's going to drop off instead, as this position more than likely known to these outside players, and it surely will be, as we see some things starting to be utilized over on that side. But at second glance, it's actually over on the library balcony instead, as they'll be hounding onto Foltz's position. But the good news for him, got some ADSs and also has some time to kill for this Beastcoast offense.
Foltz putting himself back here, waiting for the challenge to hop through. Gonna also try to crouch forward, though, for the relative safety of what lies down below. This direct challenge is gonna be a little bit too risky, I think, for him to try and take against the Beastcoast roster. Away from that, Anthony is going to be able to move a few of these Rotero drones in to try to take out some utility. Default cam, or rather bulletproof cam, I should say, on the wall here. Going to be knocked out first by these drones, and he'll continue to see what other goodies potentially await him as he sneaks these deeper and deeper into the SSG setup. Still over a minute to go as well, so plenty, and I emphasize, plenty of time for the Beastcoast players to set themselves up appropriately.
Yeah, this has not been a bad offense so far. I think the big thing so far is that SSG has been able to stand in the way of quite a few different things, especially with the position of Foltz now, because we saw him drop off. They wasted all the utility on that spot, and now he's reclaimed it. They're going to have to try and reburn and get some nades in here to try and help out. Foltz is still alive. I don't know if he knows that somebody's hopped in, but I do believe Houghton, yes indeed, was the player inside of Library Small, so he took out Surf. And Beastcoast are now essentially boxed out of most of the map. There's really nothing that they can do here. They're out of frag grenades, and they're out of time, frankly, John. They have one Rotero drone to try and misposition one of these Space Station members, but they simply need to sit here and just not overswing. Anthony's going to try and work his way in. You can see the Beast Coast members trying to potentially get something here. Oh, Skies. I don't think that he knows that the Flores has actually worked their way in, but fortunately enough for them, Skies actually will be able to take down Anthony, but the site player is the big piece of the puzzle here for Space Station, taking down the Flores. Sweater trying to swing into blue stairs, ill-advised. It's all down to Slash now, as he'll be able to take down Houghton, but what's it worth at the end of the day when Skies is able to kill him too? Space Station Gaming take the lead on defense.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're just way too much of a reliance on the entry game for Beast Coast. They needed that to be able to get themselves inside, establish proper positioning, and they could never really find that across the map, especially in the core areas that they needed to then swing into to be able to get map control, like a library and any of the areas down below surrounding the site. Just really failed to be able to line up appropriate angles, so just kind of waited out the time, hoping that a member of SSG would eventually overpeak from those positions, but it just never happened. SSG are well too trained of a team to fall into a mistake like that, and as a result, Beast Coast are just forced into an execute due to a lack of time, and it goes the way you would expect.
Absolutely. I mean, Beastcoast just not really bullheading their way through a singular part of the map. They were trying to deal with the whole pie at one time.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit too much to deal with, especially with a setup like Spacestation was going for. We have the initial time delay over by Solarium. They drop back. Beastcoast starts trying to mess with Library. They mess around with Foltz. Foltz drops into sight, dropping back again, wasting more time. They don't take Library control when they are in a man-up situation. And then eventually when they do try to take it, they're back in the same situation they were previously with Foltz inside of Library. It was just all for naught really at the end of the day. They tried to find some gaps, but Space Station Gaming had sealed up everything that Beastcoast was concerning themselves with.
So SSG going to look to do the same exact thing again. No real need to change up their main core part of the strategy, at least. Even with the site change coming into the fold here, they're of course going to move over towards the kitchen site now. Still need to commit themselves, however, just much to a lessened extent, to the Library hold. You're going to see immediately players like Drip and Slash trying to work their way past the hold inside of here and get some control going for themselves. But it'll be difficult to do so because of the direct confrontation coming out from SSG. Drip's drone will confirm that we do indeed have that resistance set up from Bosco, as well as Houghton, closer to the actual Library extension, but still, this is the same problem that Beastcoast faced in the last round. What are they actually going to do about it is the follow-up question. At the moment, we haven't really seen any solid strategy to make up for it, so we're going to have to wait and see exactly how they try to flush these players out rather than just getting intel on them.
I think we need a Sweater activated situation here, or at least somebody to try and get something going. It's going to be Nade out now and a potential dead SSG member. Hot and cold, a little too close to the sun there, I would say, Blue. Just trying to crawl his way into Library, trying to catch off Beastcoast, but too much utility to use in that situation will take them down. Fortunately enough, though, it's going to be a decent amount of time wasted, not nearly as much as Houghton would like, but definitely going to be something to consider going through the rest of this round.
Yeah, either way, Beastcoast accomplishes what they've been looking for the past 2 rounds here. Finally getting that member of SSG over peaking just a slight amount and able to catch them up over a strain of utility. So beautifully done for Beastcoast. They've got their opener. Now they need to follow it through here, not lose anyone in the process. I think the 5v4 is going to be very important to the overall success of Beastcoast's attack, given the way that they generally tend to approach things on those assaults. Our Terrador is continuing to sneak their way in. It's going to be used, oh, that's so unfortunate, as it goes down right on top of this to try and get rid of the magnet, only to not get the magnet. So a little bit unfortunate at the end of the day there, but thankfully should still have a few more in pocket to make up for that.
Yes, indeed. Not only that, but they've been able to at least stave off any more eliminations for the defensive end. And speaking of eliminations, guys, he'll be able to at least get one. Sweater will come to bear with one as well of his own as well, excuse me, as Beastcoast will at least be able to hold on to this man advantage. But this timer, this is where things become very, very problematic. The drone economy for Beastcoast injured at the current moment, and still some utility to use from SSG, but it's not being used extremely well at the current moment as all of the bodies are starting to leak. 20 seconds remain as Surf is going to work his way around towards the top of West Main. Rampy's actually going to jump outside and take the fight. Can't win it out initially. Back and forth they go. Sweater wins out one on site. It's a quad for him, and he won't be able to actually. He will. I take it all back. Sweater with an ace, and as I said earlier in the round, I think we just need something where Sweater gets activated, and it's going to be all 5 SSG members going his way, and I believe over 10 kills in his pocket now.
Yeah, he had a quad kill earlier on in the game as well, so with the 5 kills, and we assume the DC contribution beyond that absolutely should be in that neighborhood. Beautifully played by Sweater as he locks in this ace for his team here, as well as another round to tie us back up once again at a 4-4 scoreline. Does prompt the tactical timeout from Space Station, as they pretty much have to after a round like that. Things were going promisingly for them on the first round of this half, but now things are looking a little bit bleak there as we see Sweater able to bully his way past pretty much the entire defensive setup on his own.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where you really want your teammates to be playing with each other, because you won't have a situation like what happened to Houghton there. You're allowed to do anything you want inside of any competitive game as long as you do it as a team. That's how it works. We didn't have a situation like that when it came to that Library hold. Houghton thought he was going to be able to get past Beastcoast with something a little cheeky, but there's nobody home for Space Station if things go wrong, and that's exactly what happened. You gave them a foothold on the map, which is already extremely detrimental to a map like Chalet, which is offender-sided. and it just made it way too difficult for Space Station to try and come back in any sense of the term. Beastcoast has shut down everything when it comes to the flank watch. We see Skies try and come back with a flank of his own, but it's only a 1-for-1, and in a situation like they'd already been handed, that's not a positive thing. You're just losing more bodies in that, you know, in that way, and you're actually giving things over to the offense. You don't have nearly as many guns that try and hold down things on site now. You know, it's just very, very risky in a situation like they were presented, and it didn't end up working out for Space Station. But obviously, if Sweater isn't immediately on top of Library Stairs inside of that situation, they end up, or rather Skies ends up getting more than that 1K, or just getting that 1K and leaving, then it's a really big play. So, you know, it's just one of those moments where it could go back and forth. It's just super unfortunate for Skies in those circumstances.
So SSG looking to try and lock back in control of the lead with another kitchen hold here. So they'll retry the very same site where things went awry for them on the previous round. Beastcoast, of course, more likely just approach things in a very similar fashion, and indeed that's going to align itself quite well when you look at the operator lineup. You can see a flood of drones already working its way in through Library, and a much lessened number of players resisting this time for SSG. It's only Bosco in the neighborhood now, with almost zero utility inside of this Library defense also. So more of a just a kind of casual hold here where he'll immediately fall back should things get a little bit too dicey, like being droned out. So that'll prompt him to fall back further into Piano, and immediately Beastcoast will be able to take Piano control as a result of that.
Well, Beastcoast taking their time with this opening minute, and it's worked out for them as they'll take down Fultz and Skies. It's going to be a double for Sweater again. Somebody stop this man. Turn off his monitor.
Take off the cat ears.
Sleeve. Take the cat ears. I mean, you might have to take the collar at this moment, too. They're just, it's too damn good for him. I don't know what is happening at the current moment. He's leveled up. Practically became a whole new Pokemon at this point. Just went through an evolution process in the last week. So much damage dealt to the last remaining SSG members as well, minus Bosco, as the Rotero drone will pop into his POV, and he'll take that down. But Beastcoast, they're coasting for sure through this opening moment for round 9.
Half the round gone, still the remaining half, of course, for SSG to make up the difference, but it is going to be a tough task now, not just because of the numbers disadvantage, but look at the HP on Rampy, or at least what was the HP on Rampy, as well as Houghton down at 50%. Sweater gets another kill. He's truly going on a tear now, up to 17 already in the midst of the 9th round. So beautifully done here, just under a 2.0 KD, and now another player down. Bosco out for the count. Drip will be able to finish him off. Houghton will at least take down Surf, but Sweater with one more to lock in the 2.0 KD to finish off the round.
If Sweater dusts SSG here on Chalet, I'm telling you, he is going to be showering with those ears and that collar on. They will never leave this man's head or neck. It's just going to be, anytime that he's walking, I feel, you know what?
This is going to be like a very awkward introduction to Siege for like any new viewers from now on. Whenever we get a Beastcoast game, it's like, yeah, this is the guy that plays with the cat ears. He had a game a few months ago, you know, broke the kill record and everything.
But
and
he hasn't lost, so he doesn't take them off.
No, I'm not jumping on it, right?
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Just saying, he's making our jobs a lot harder more than anything.
Oh no, it's great. If anything, he's made our jobs easier. There's constant entertainment at all times. I just feel bad for his significant other if they never come off. That's the thing, you know? You just gotta feel for him in that regard. But past that, though, Beastcoast, they're looking really, really solid right now, and it's really mostly due to what Sweater's been able to produce, but you gotta remember whenever you see a you know, KD like this, it's a team effort at the end of the day. They're still getting the information, they're getting the hard tasks done, and Sweater is there getting these kills with this LMG exactly like he's supposed to, but don't get it twisted. He was doing this on defense as well. Beastcoast looking like the best forms of themselves at the current moment and looking to claim their very first victory here in the stage 2 of the NAL.
Beastcoast just 2 rounds away now from locking in the W here today, and a surprising one at that. Even just looking at our predictions, every single one of us, including you guys, you're not blameless in this either, you guys at home, you all picked Space Station for this one, or we all picked, I suppose is more appropriate, Space Station. So in the event that Beastcoast take control of this one, that will be a surprise to be sure. And we'll have to see if they can complete that task. Space Station, of course, much more active resistance since they're back onto the bar, of course, inside of that library spot that we've been talking endlessly about. Fultz even with a little bit of a lead in here with the broken wall. Be able to spot out some of those window players should they try to hop in a bit prematurely. Of course, the usual position still being played by Houghton as well.
Window opened up now for Library. Go open up on the roof, so they won't know that Sweater's around here, but they'll definitely be aware that the window's open, and they need to at least be aware of that. So Skies, I've seen the nade pouring through. It'll get eaten up by an ADS, as apparently those ADSs placed a little bit farther back to where the stuns wouldn't be able to do much. Drip will actually end up getting the frag. Drip to move in. He'll be taken down by Hot and Cold, though, as he'll bounce his way.
What was that?
Library. Sweater, what a read. He gets the audio from the window, John, and he pre-fires the rotation towards Piano. What a game sense on this man. 19-5 at the current moment, but they've bodied Space Station and they've left them in a tizzy. Space Station has no idea what's going on at the current moment. They've been decimated time and time again. Slash sitting inside at the current moment as well, as Hot and Cold tries to battle back from the top floor. He'll take down Slash. It's a triple for him, and what a time for Hotton to show up.
Hotton trying to bring it back from the brink here as it's down to a 2v2 now. Hotton still with upstairs control as well, so we can fend off Anthony or someone else from the Beastcoast roster should they try to go for the direct hop in through the window. Beastcoast do have intel on the downstairs hold from Skies. They're going to try and catch that here now as they move in. Star's position obviously going to be red due to the default that's been left alive. Skies, though, will be flashed out, but they can't see him. He's safe behind the bar here. Hotton as well will be able to kill the only other teammate upstairs, so it's now Surf versus Hotton to deny the ace. But Surf comes in clutch, and the round still goes to Beastcoast despite the heroics from Hotton.
Incredible round from Beastcoast. Chalet seems to be their home as they are taking it to Space Station Gaming. A shot out of Sweater that we'll be talking about, I'm sure, for the remainder of this stage.
I think we need the admin squad to check that collar for like a seismic device or something. This is getting a little crazy with more seeing a Sweater right now.
Can we actually, Sweater? Can we see the inside of this collar? Why is there a bunch of fours just on the inside of this?
You mind if we cut this open real quick?
Dude, they cut open the ears. There's just 2 motherboards inside of there. Like, he's actually just a cyborg. He's been using enhancements this entire time.
Oh, all right. So getting ourselves into what could very well be the final round of play in this game. Beastcoast leading 6-4 at the moment over Space Station. Space Station bringing a few changes to their operator lineup. Also going to see them head back over towards the bedroom and office setup. This time, Thorn will be added to the lineup here for Rampy. Aside from that, though, things are staying very similar to what we've had on the previous sites.
I can tell you this. I know for a fact that, I didn't get the best sleep last night. You didn't get the best sleep last night. But this game has just, it's enriched my life, John. That's what it's done. It's given me the power to push through.
It's a heater, just like the heater in my room that switched on randomly last night.
It made it 74 and you woke up in a pool of your own sweat. That's just always so much fun.
A little bit too much information.
Yeah, talking about sweat, though, we got Blitz out to play. You want to talk about some sweaty things? We're going to see what Beastcoast can produce with Blitz on a top floor take. This is something a little unique that we haven't seen exactly just yet. We're also going to have the Dokkaebi working in from Drip, so it's going to be utter calamity inside of the site at the current moment. Drip kind of sussing me out there for just a split second. I legitimately thought an SSG member had figured out how to stand outside without getting marked, and I was really, really scared. But no, Drip is indeed on the offense, so everything's A-okay.
Yep, he's going to try to work his way in, though, through Ego over the next few moments. Sky's ready for that challenge, of course, as you can see, so they will need some utility to flush him out, and we'll see something there, but he's going to get tripped up by it. It's a smoke, not a flash, nothing to worry about there. We'll start to unload the Alda as well, try and catch some of this action, but look, the play's coming from the outside. Instead, here comes the Blitz, however, thought the defenders were ready for it, but Slash gets one over against Fultz and is able to take him down with the pistol in hand. The Flash ready to go yet again here, so he can blitz his way forward, quite literally, into the site should he wish to do so. I think there's a few unknown factors waiting in Piano, though, so they probably want to wait for Sweater to get in a better position before they try to swing directly into that.
Only half the round off the board, but already so much happening when it comes to this gameplay. Slash Dog will begin dipping these smokes in towards Piano, trying to break up some more angles, but he's going to go down. Surf, though, he'll fire back with a kill of his own. Make it 2 as he just walks through sight. Practically Iron Man at the current moment. Not a single bullet headed his way. Wouldn't really matter. He seems so off to challenge this as Slash will get picked back up by Finka. Some shots out from Rampy, but Sweater will take down one. Rampy with one of his own. Can he get the second? He cannot. He'll run out of bullets. And Space Station, you've ran out of time. Beastcoast take it in regulation 7-5 for their very first dub of Stage 2.
What an upset it is in the favor of Beastcoast, taking control over one of the most dominant teams here in North America. SSG bows down to the Kitten Hears from Sweater, as it apparently works this time for Beastcoast. They take control of the matchup, Sweater having himself an absolutely fantastic game as well, shutting it down with just under 20 kills, ended up with 19 to end this game.
No. 21.
Oh, did he? Oh, that's right. He got 2 more at the end
6.
there. Yeah, he got 2 more at the end there. That's true. I missed that. So 21-6 over, what was it, 7-4, right? So that would have been 11 rounds. So right over again, that 2.0 KD. Absolutely beautiful stuff from him. He was the only one as well. Surf coming in towards the end, those last 2 to 3 rounds. Some great contributions from him, too, to pick up the slack where it was needed for Beastcoast.
What an insane game. This is something that Space Station's really going to have to go back and look at. You and I talked about this inside of some of the earlier rounds. The things that catch Space Station off guard are not regular competitive Siege gameplay. In fact, that's when they perform the best. It's when teams start to do unorthodox things and catch them off guard that Space Station gets systematically dismantled. That's what we saw here today, and hopefully our analyst desk has some more insight into this. But that's going to do it for John and I for Game 2. Do not touch that browser, folks. We'll be back with the analyst desk and an interview momentarily before Game 3.
Go dummy, go beast, oh no. I go beast, go deep, I-O-D, oh no. I know apply pressure, release, oh no. Put that zero degrees, oh no. Go dummy, go beast, oh no. I go beast, go deep, I-O-D, oh no. I know apply pressure, put heat, oh no. Put that zero degrees, oh no. Countdown, levitate, going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate, on time, never late. I grind, celebrate, no pump fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day, champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now stepping up to home. Like straight out the sand lot, now I'm plotting on the globe. I work
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa Jacob Jesse here with you at the analyst desk, and over in Vegas, standing by is none other than Beastcoast's own Drip. That's right, Beastcoast get the big win over Space Station Gaming today. So, Drip, I was going to ask you first off, obviously week 1 was a little bit rough. Week 2, you come in, you beat Space Station. Was it just Sweater, or what was it today that got you the win?
I mean, we should have beat OXG. We were up 4-0. I played like a bum, and that happened. It's going to happen in Siege. I take responsibility for that for that loss, but we came back. We knew SSG, no matter how bad we play, no matter how bad I personally play, Skies is always so generous to give me 3 points every time I play him. Doesn't matter if he's on DZ or SSG. So, I mean, that's pretty much our strategy going into the game. Is I'm on the team, be a free win by default.
Rip,
There you go.
I wanted to ask you about the man who went crazy today. I want to ask you about Sweater. Coming into this game, he had the most opening deaths of any player in the league. Today, obviously, that was not a problem. Was that something that you guys have been working on over the last week to try to make sure he can stay alive longer these rounds so he can frag, or was that just happened to work out better today?
We kind of let him do him because you got to let the kitten off the leash. I'm sure you saw the collar,
Yeah.
the cat ears. We had to really power him up today, and he was just in a good mood. So we said, do whatever you want. Obviously, there were some restraints to that, but I mean, sometimes you got to let a player like that loose. And I mean, for him, it was just a little too easy. He just runs around and gets kills, and those guys are, I mean, when they won Invite, they were playing plumbers and janitors, so you know they can't compete with young bloods like Sweater. So it is what it is. It's not much strategy involved to beat SSG, if I'm being honest.
Main thing to look at from weeks 1 to 2 was the fact that you guys played Theme Park twice last week, wasn't able to make it work. What was the biggest difference from an attacking perspective from what you did last week to now? Because obviously, like, Sweater can do what he does, but if you had to pinpoint something specific that really catapulted you over the edge today, what was it?
Just our teamwork, and Sweater just was telling us that we had, or he just said, I see a play here, this and that. And, you know, when your player says that, you trust him, and he kept opening rounds up for us. Theme Park's kind of a hard map to play on attack. It's kind of a box, really hard to enter and get walls open. Chalet, you can be a little more free. So we just let him kind of take advantage of the map. You know, something he couldn't do on Theme Park, just a bit harder, and we let him loose. And I think it's just a Chalet thing.
All right. Well, definitely a Chalet thing, but also a little bit of a maybe like that, like you're saying earlier, the cat ears, the jingling collar kind of thing. So it worked for Sweater today. Are we going to see that incorporated with more of you going forward?
Personally, I will never wear that. I don't know. I think it kind of debuffs how handsome I am, but otherwise, I think Sweater needs to maybe get cat ears implanted on him. You know, so I think for him, it's worth it to invest in maybe like a Louis Vuitton pair of cat ears, like typical NA
Oh,
players.
yeah. That'd be swanky. So I got to ask, what animal would you be willing to dress up as on the desk?
Or would you put the cowboy hat on that you had on stream?
I don't know, maybe the cowboy hat, but I'm kind of a dog. You know, I was barking up there at those SSG frogs. I mean, you know, sometimes the dog gotta bark at them, and I feel like I got some dog in me, you know.
All right. We'll look forward to that. I expect it tomorrow, right away. All right. Thanks for joining us, though. Congrats on the win today. Looking forward to game tomorrow.
Thank you.
One of these
All right.
questions,
There
man,
you
I swear to
go.
God.
Really,
Oh,
you know,
man.
How far we've
crucial
fallen.
discussion we had to have there, you know. But you know what? They picked, you know, Beastcoast ended up sending us to Chalet, and why wouldn't you? Because on Chalet, it's sweater weather. That's right. We saw it today. The stats were there. Sweater really kind of delivering the win over Space Station, but Space Station looked very discombobulated on this, didn't they?
I mean, I do kind of see where Drip was coming from by saying if Sweater noticed that there was an opening, he just decides, you know what, I'm just going to take this real quick. It did feel like there was backup, but it never felt like Sweater was somebody who you had to worry about losing those fights when he took them, at least when it came to the attack on defense. We wondered very much about how often he'd be able to take those engagements and do something with it. I was about to harp on him if he didn't do good this game whenever he found a roamer or found someone trying to entry in it, like from Space Station as they're working on their roam clear, if he's unable to win those fights. He won those fights today. He made it happen. And then the Finka play, obviously aside, like his 4K route, like today started like way before they even had to worry about like the side swap.
Sweater, we talked about his opening death problem. He has more than doubled his opening kill stat total with this game. 5 opening picks.
Yeah, he's kind of fixed it, hasn't he?
He has, and we've talked in the past about how Space Station Gaming have struggled with that opening death problem on the roam. It wasn't an issue against Dark Zero, but we've seen it in Gamers Without Border. We saw it in that first play again. Rampy unfortunately falling a little bit in those opening deaths on the roam. So similar problem that we've seen in the past. I mean, sometimes when you're going against a great player like Sweater, it can be hard to avoid, but certainly something for SSG to look at.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I feel like what better way to kind of start breaking this one down a little bit more in depth than just kind of taking a look at some of the great plays from Sweater over the course of that map. We've got a bit of a highlight reel because the man's entire map was a highlight reel. Pretty much every single round. Like, what, 1 or 2 4Ks, got at least 1 ace. Like, he put as many kills up today as Spirits did last week on XSET.
Yeah, I mean, 2 4Ks and an ace is pretty nice for Sweater to have. We'll see if we can run through some of these highlights back to back. It's really just a frag show. I mean, you love to see it from him. Of course, playing on some of these aggressive ops, those C4s I think were huge to start things off for him. That was a really great one. He finished off that round with some more frags. And then just running through it with the LMGs. We've talked about how powerful Finka is, and with the right hands, that being Sweaters, it's just so hard to go up against, and I thought he rocked those LMG frags very well.
Sweater is single-handedly making the case for a Finka nerf. Just so everyone's aware, even if he has a good game like this, I think the case has already been made that that op or that gun or something about that needs to get toned down, because if it's that powerful, that potent, and you put it in someone's hands like that, who's not only able to get the frags, use the nades, and like push properly, but he's doing that sometimes when he just notices one gap and then pushes by himself.
I don't know if I would say he's single-handedly making the push for a Finka nerf. I would say there are a few people that are also pressuring that.
Every team's got
Yeah, but if you're looking for like a one-game example of this
Yes,
kind of getting
I
out of
agree.
hand, then this is proof of that.
I agree. This is a very clear point of like, wow, Finka is very good right now.
Yeah, I mean, in any FPS like this, like any sort of healing mechanic is going to be extremely strong already, especially if it even kind of works like a little bit of a resurrection mechanic from time to time, but then you add to that
True.
great weapons for the operator, definitely makes it strong.
We saw it used in 2 different ways today, though, if you noticed. Gomez was using it for the battle medic idea because he was allowing Spirits, the guy who's primarily fragging, to be the one to play the Yana, to go in, find picks, worry about it. Took Spirits a little while to wake up today, but Gomez still wasn't at the forefront of the attack. This case, completely different story. Finka gets used, is always at the front lines, is the one who got 9 kills over the span of 2 straight kitchen attacks, obviously. But that's just showcasing, like, if you wanted one clear-cut, perfect example of what Finka does and why, if for some reason you don't banner in your unranked games, then this was it.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got another one to look at, but I think we're going to do some telestration with it. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit more about Beastcoast. Now, obviously, Sweater was doing great overall, but as a team, it seemed like the executes were better.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think overall, right, when they were going for those pushes, they were able to find a lot of great moments. Not just because of Sweater. Sweater got their first couple of attacks going, but then it felt like they had that momentum rolling. They had some cool ideas in there as well with the Blitz that was able to find a lot of success. So, yeah, I think they tried some cool strats, and they did that against Oxygen, too. They played out some of these, like, kind of weird operators, and it didn't work as well against OXG in their first, like, theme park game, but it worked great here.
Certainly did. All right, we're ready. Let's check out round number 6. Now, this is one that we wanted to break down a little bit. Now, this was one that did go a little bit more it did go a little bit more in the favor of Space Station gaming, but that's okay because they had some good rounds.
And Jesse's
it's time
gone.
to break one down in detail.
Yeah, Doe, well, we don't get to see Glaz too often. And I thought this was a really cool attack by SSG. It's going to be one of the rounds that they were able to win. So let's break it down. It's going to be Skies, top fragger for Space Station, who's playing on the Glaz. And this is his first kill that he's going to be able to get. Now, watch everything that's happening here. This is a very tough position for Slash. Obviously, he's got Skies going through the window here, and he can see through the smoke, obviously, and he will be able to see Slash when he peeks around through this angle. But the bigger problem, and you can probably see it already, Bosco's got him on drone, and he's had him on this drone for so long. This drone's been here for about 60 seconds at this point, maybe not quite, but still a very long time, and Slash has not turned around. Makes it a relatively simple kill for Skies to get. He holds the angle, and as soon as Slash peeks out, there it goes. As soon as he's walking into that sight line, Skies is able to clean it up, walks forward with the new secondary, the Bearing 9, on the operator to secure the kill. Great start to be able to open things up on the roam clear for SSG, but then watch as well how effective this Glaz can get on the execute. Of course, they're attacking onto the kitchen bomb site, and here we can see just how powerful this is. Skies has angles onto every location that the defenders are standing in. No matter where they're trying to push from, Skies is going to have a sight line that he can see through it. And of course, with so many smoke grenades as well, he's always going to be in the advantage, so they cannot possibly swing from it. One thing I would have liked to see from Beastcoast, maybe to try to counter this, you'll see it in a moment here. Look at these two roam players. There's Surf and there's Sweater, way up here at the top. What they could be doing is they could be trying to move up above and try to pressure the Glaz from up here on the mezzanine. Obviously, there are players from SSG to watch for that. They could also try to go like maybe through the basement. They can drop down the hatch, or if they can somehow otherwise get through the basement, come back up around with the staircase through Snowmobile Garage. Maybe you get behind the Glaz that way instead. But instead, they just run at him. They take the direct head-on fight against the Glaz. They try to force this through. I like the Toxic Babes coming through. They don't quite hit Bosco. The C4 is a great idea from Surf. seconds too late. So close to be able to stop this kit from going down, and at this point in the post plant, with the Glads, with the numbers advantage, it's just too easy for Space Station Gaming to clear this one down. So a nice little pocket strap from Space Station. We've seen this from them time and time again. We highlighted it in the pre-show. We saw the Collie push in their second game, and we saw the Sens push in their first game. The Glads push, I think, adding on to another really nice idea that Space Station Gaming were able to have in this matchup. Unfortunately, not enough, though, to take the game over Beastcoast in the end.
Yep.
I mean, Space Station attacks were nice, but Space Station defenses definitely leave something to be desired. So, I mean, yeah, we talked about the innovation. I feel like for some reason, in spite of the way the Space Station play, it's almost like for some reason they don't get as much credit as they should when it comes to sometimes the off operator pick. So when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, you're left wondering kind of where they fumbled the bag. But it feels like every time so far this stage they've brought out like a weird op, it's almost worked every time, if not worked out right.
Yeah, so Space Station's still feeling like a team that has a lot of good strategy around it, but just needs a little bit more polish in terms of, again, you know, adapting to those kind of surprising situations that come up. And no one's going to throw more stuff at you than Beastcoast is, right? They get the win today, Beastcoast taking down Space Station Gaming, but we still have 3 more maps to go here at the Rainbow Six North American League. It's unpredictable, it's wild, it's going to be fun. It's going to be TSM versus Oxygen when we come back. You do not want to miss that here on NAL in just a bit.